Seeds of Life Raw Food Chef Certification Program. It's the longest running raw food training here in Bali. I originally was invited to Bali to teach raw food back in 2011 and have continued on with the modules and training program that I set in place, and have been developing an incredible system to educate people on the science and the art of living food preparation. Now, I've got a raw food restaurant here which has been running now for 5 years, and it is the backbone of the Raw Food Training Academy. People come into the restaurant and they see this beautiful food presented for them and they're like, wow, I want to learn how to do that. So you don't have to be a professional chef to come and do our training. We have husbands and wives, house mums who want to make beautiful food for their families and their friends. We have people who come along as friends or singles, individuals who want to just make food for themselves, people who want to start a market stall, people who want to start their own cafe. We've had students come in who've bought food vans afterwards and now doing food back in their own countries, driving raw food around to the people, which is really exciting. People who work on super yachts, magazine editors for food magazines. There's been a whole wide array of people who turned up, and we've trained hundreds of people on our raw food training in the last nearly 7 years, and as the Seeds of Life. And one of the things that I really focus on is spleen health, because people that don't succeed on a raw food diet have had, you know, in one way or another, digestive issues. And it's not just about raw food that does that. Raw food certainly exploits or shows us our weaknesses, and spleen health is one of those fundamental underlying issues we have as a species, I think, because we've overburdened our digestive system. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in the Chinese and the Ayurvedic and Indonesian herbal systems of health, and I'm incorporating that into and weaving that into the Seeds of Life Raw Food Training Program. So you're learning all about, you know, the sprouting, the activation of the nuts and seeds, the fermentation, pickling, coconut yogurts, kefir, probiotic drinks, lots of different flavors, first fermentation, second fermentation processes of kombucha and kefir. That's it. So we start off with that. We start off with, you know, knife skills, how to roll nori, sushi, how to make bigger, more extravagant dishes like Spanish tasting plates, and each recipe is designed to teach you the skills on how to use the knife correctly, how to spread wraps on the dehydrator tray, and how to use dehydration techniques properly, how to present food beautifully on a plate, how to combine the different flavors and different textures to bring about flavor profiling. You know, we talk about the benefits of nutrition and food combining, and how when foods combined really well give us not only a pleasurable experience but also more nutrient availability. Food impacts our bodies, and you know, these are the things that people say to me is, wow, I really feel good after eating your food. Normally raw food makes me feel gassy or crampy or bloated in my stomach, and I do think that food combining is an art. I believe it's a science between acid and alkaline, proteins, fats and carbohydrates, and acid, sweet. There's a whole spectrum in there that needs to be thought about. So I'm a little bit of a nerd, I'm a little bit geeky when it comes to these little tiny components of life in general, and particularly food. So what I'm bringing together is the science of acid and alkaline, the science of food combining, and nutrition, nutrient density, the less is more philosophy, and also the strong influence of the Taoist wisdom of Jing, Qi and Shen, and the yin and yang principles. So that weaves its way into our training in a way that is very unique. I haven't seen so much of it done before, so I'm kind of venturing into areas of my own practice, of my own experimentation, and many, like 10, 11 years ago when I first got into raw foods, I had my own health challenges to overcome, and applying the herbal system, applying this food combining system, I got leverage very quickly and incorporated this 100% raw foods living optimally lifestyle and fully integrated into my body. And people want to come in and they want to learn about that. They want to get this vitality. They want to know what it is that makes your eyes sparkle, that makes your skin shine. And it's the food, but there's more to it. We need to learn how to move our bodies properly. Not just moving our bodies around, but moving our bodies in a way that's intelligent. Learning how to breathe correctly. Learning that we must be drinking lots of water or getting very hydrated from, eating lots and lots of fruits and structured water from the fruits and vegetables. We must have good relationships, good connections with each other. So on the training, we're working in groups. We've got these different modules that help us to communicate, to help us bring the best out of our integrations and into relationships with each other. And then also we're talking about business. We're talking about how we can get your business concept out into the world. And lots of people come in and they've got their own little businesses that they're trying to upgrade, or they're trying to add something else to it, or they're trying to bring into the world. And as I've got a raw food business with packaged food business and a bamboo yoga clothing line, I have a little bit to offer there for people. So the conversations always vary. People come in, they've got their own sicknesses and health challenges. We have people come to the training who are like really struggling to make it through this health challenge, but they know that going vegan and plant-based and eating as much raw food as possible is the answer. Like, we know that. And so, so what you're doing is you're coming to learn from somebody who's living it. I'm not doing something else on Friday nights or on the weekends. This is my lifestyle, this is my passion, I've made it work, and this is what I do. If you come and do the training, you're going to be touched very deeply by the healing elements that Bali offers, the freshness of the food, the smile and the compliments that you receive just every day from Bali herself, from the people, from the culture around you. It's really refreshing. So it's another form of nourishment, and that's a really unique thing that we have available to us, is the sounds and the flowers and the smells and this beautiful learning environment. It's very encouraging. There's lots of massages around town. There's colonic centers. There's dancing workshops going on. There's lots of other things that you can get involved in after each day's training as well. So you're coming to work in an environment in Bali that is conducive to learning, but also you're getting the best equipment to work with. So hopefully that inspires you to see what it's like when you're making those beautifully finished cheesecakes or breads or slices or cream cheeses or marinades, or all of the sauces and equipment that makes those sauces sexy and creamy and delicious. You're getting educated on the difference between the cheaper varieties and the varieties that we know cost a lot more but are very worth the investment. Within the training we have lots of hands-on days, and in the afternoons we do nutritional lectures where we discuss proteins, fats and carbohydrates. We discuss nutrition, we discuss enzymes, we discuss what raw foods are about, mucusless diet, fasting, detoxification, who these Arnold Ehrenreiths are, who these people who've inspired us to live a very clean, healthy, detox lifestyle where we're getting the most out of our nutrition. So our course is very hands-on. We have yoga in the morning, starts at 7 o'clock, and then we have juices and fruits as a light breakfast. Then we have a class, and then you'll have a lunch. So each class that we have, we're making the food for the the following meal, and also dehydration for the next day or the day after. So you'll have a class before lunch, preparing your meals for lunch, and then when you come back from lunch, you're having the nutritional lecture or workshop, and then after the workshop we go back into class, and then we have our dinner. Now on the afternoons or some of the days on the training, we go on field trips to, for example, my friend's spirulina farm, and we learn how to grow spirulina on a mass scale, but also how you could potentially grow spirulina at home. Spirulina is one of those superfoods that have been in the vegan lifestyle, and not just the vegan lifestyle, but in our diets for a really long time. So it's great to connect with where does spirulina come from, what are the processes, and then in this we start to discuss and uncover what it is to eat quality, what it is about sourcing quality nutrients. So when you're going into dried superfoods or superfood powders, it's a very bizarre world. They put adders and fillers and all sorts of things in there. So what we're doing is we're educating you on, if you're going to get these extract powders, if you're going to get these foods that are not whole and fresh and picked ripe, then where are they coming from? We also go to Nadi's Herbals, and we do a beautiful day there with Ibu Lalia and Pak Westy, where you're learning how to make a massage oil from flowers, learning how to make a jamu drink, which is the simmered turmeric and galangal and tamarind tea. And then we have a body scrub, which is a herbal. It's all herbal and organic ingredients that are made from the ingredients picked at her farm. And then you've got like a deep heat, a denka rub. It's like from galangal and ginger, and you rub it on your forehead, you rub it on your temples, and rub it under your ears, and it helps with jet lag and helps with headaches. So we go and learn how to make skincare products, medicinal products from nature. And what else do we do? We have got a couple of trips to restaurants around. So our friends at 5 Elements, Pak Made, he is an incredible Balinese artisan chef. He's been in the chefing industry for a really long time, and he's made his way through to the casual fine dining arena of vegan foods, and his raw foods are just absolutely spectacular. So you're learning what it's like to present raw foods at a fine dining level, the artistry of presenting foods at a gastronomic level. And then we go to the Seeds of Life Cafe, and you get to see how we do food here. So the whole 2 weeks is leading up to what we call the Master Chef Night. And that's our final presentation, where all the skills that you've learnt over the past 2 weeks is vectoring down into this final night, where we invite people from our community, our friends and family, where people come together who enjoy raw foods and vegan foods and good fellowship. And we have some Balinese dancers and the gamelan. We have a DJ coming, and we play house music, and everybody dances, and we drink tonics. And the idea is to present the foods that you're passionate about, and showcase your skills to strangers. And they will come in and they will taste your food. They will ask you questions about what inspired you to make this dish, and people from like Brazil, people from China, people from Korea that come to our training, people from Europe, people from Russia. They bring their family recipes, or they bring their cultural dishes along, and they're like, wow, how can I make this food that my mother made raw? And it's just absolutely incredible and inspiring what comes out of our students on that final night. Probably the most nourishing thing about the Seeds of Life training is we have 20 people coming to learn for 2 weeks, day in, day out, and they're from all walks of life. Just on our last training, we had South Korea, we had Germany, we had Portugal, we had South Africa, we had Thailand, we had India, we had Sweden, we had Finland, we had America, we had Australia, we had New Zealand. I mean, there's people from we had Russia, we had Kazakhstan. Yeah, there's a few more in there. It's just incredible. Like, it was amazing to see all of these people from all over the world coming together and making food. And food is the meeting place. Food is the language that we all speak. And it transcends all borders, all boundaries, all barriers, and it's just food. Call it raw, call it living, whatever you want. It's not even about raw, it's just about nourishment. And the deepest level of nourishment that we can find is within our engagements and integrity that we have with our conversations and how we meet each other, how we show up for each other. And the training is always highlighted by how the variety of people from all around the world, all different religions, all different creeds and castes, we all come together and we're making beautiful food, and it's really nourishing. To stand there, we do our activation at night time around our dinner every day. We really bring presence and awareness and gratitude and thankfulness and love into the whole day, and we seal that off at the end with our activation. And it transcends all dogma, all paradigms, all boundaries, and that gets in places that, you know, mangoes and beetroots and cucumbers they just won't reach. You know, that the love that we all feel from each other is palpable. And the other great thing about that is people bring the recipes from their countries, either the recipes that they're making for their families that their mother used to make or their grandmother used to make, and they present these foods. They will get my recipes and they will tweak them into their versions, and it's just incredible to see what comes out of these trainings, the ideas and the concepts and the little journeys that we go on together as we explore the variety of nations, the variety of concepts that people bring to the training already, and that's a nourishment in its all on its own. The raw food training takes place in Bali, in Ubud, and it is for 20 students. We have 5 groups of 4 people that will work as teams, and for the most part people will stay on site. We have room for 14 to 15 people on site, and there's off-site options where people can choose to stay somewhere else. It works out, you know, a little bit cheaper that way, or perhaps you're already staying in Bali longer. People can stay on site as single room, as couples, but generally if you're coming as a single, you'll be sharing a room with somebody else. It's a great way to connect with somebody that you've had no idea about, and, you know, little boundaries and barriers get crossed there. It's really exciting. So everybody stays together here in a retreat center in Ubud, and we go on this beautiful journey for 2 weeks. The people that stay outside, they come in the morning for yoga, which starts at 7 o'clock. So you come in, you'll have a nice herbal tea before you practice, and then we all dive deep into this training, and it goes, sometimes we're in the kitchen still at 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock at night, still tweaking and playing with recipes, and so it's a lot of fun. The retreat center is very well equipped. The staff there have done a lot of events with us and many retreats and detox trainings before. And so our level 1 training is a very complete, inclusive training that will get you very confident and very inspired to start your own business, to further your own education in the chefing industry or in the world of creating foods. Maybe you just want to make food for yourself at home and your partner or your family and friends. The level 2, which is coming up, is going to be very uniquely designed, as I'm a qualified iridologist and sclerologist and treating disease with a plant-based lifestyle and detoxification. So level 2 will be primarily focused around foods that are based around detoxification, foods that are low allergen, foods that are very simple and clean and pure, predominantly towards the fruitarian end of the spectrum, the sprouting spectrum, and then we go into a journey of the art and science of detoxification, fasting and cleansing, and all of the purification practices that go along, like gua sha, tongue scraping, liver flushing, colon cleansing, the different types of enemas, you know, saltwater flushes, sun gazing, and then, you know, what foods nourish what organs, and how to set up a detoxification lifestyle. And you know, I've been doing this more than 70 fasts, I've had over 100 colonics and enemas. I've been down very deep rabbit holes in this detoxification and fasting journey, and I'm very passionate about it. So level 1 is all about the entry into the raw foods, and after you've been doing raw foods for a long time, this detoxification, this fasting, this eating once a day with a little bit of fruit in between, this intermittent fasting, this other lifestyle, this less is more, just emerges. So what I'm bringing to you now is, I guess, the second phase of what it is to be in this raw food world, which is a lot to do with the art and science of fasting, cleansing, detoxification, and connecting at a very deeper level from there. So the main thing that we're trying to do here with the training is to really emphasize this meaning of connection. I've really learned over many years that the seed of our suffering, the cause of our suffering, is this illusion that we're under, that we're disconnected from nature, that we're disconnected from our culture, that we're disconnected from humanity, that we're on this lonely planet hurling through space and there's no point to it all. But actually, when you drop in a little bit, when you start to breathe correctly, when you start to move your body in a way that's intelligent, you start to feel that you're in your body again, and we start to nourish ourselves with these living foods. We start to see that where our food comes from, picked, fresh, organic, dripping with the flavors that are imbibed from the environment and imbued within this ripening process. As that plant is connected to its environment, then we become connected to our environment via eating that food, and the microbiome that's on these foods that we've learned to cultivate and maintain the integrity of that through not heating or over processing these nutrients. We start to embed ourselves deeper within our own biosphere, within our own ecology, and then from that we start to appreciate this connection. We start to look at our environment differently. Our landscape changes around us, and on the training we're looking at not just connecting to our food, but we're looking at connecting to each other and how we go about talking to and communicating to our fellow workers, our fellow classmates. And then, you know, my grandmother used to say, a bitter baker bakes a bitter bread. And, you know, her stance on food was, she was a professional chef who inspired me greatly. If you're not happy, don't come in the kitchen and start preparing food. You got to go away, put a smile on your face, and then come back in and make food with love, make food beautifully. So when we start to connect to the environment, we start to connect to ourselves, we start to feel this, we can then offer it out through the foods that we make, through the art that we paint, through the music that we share. And it's really all the same thing, really. Art, music, food, creativity. It's who we are as beings. We naturally express creativity. So if you're interested in learning how to connect to yourself, how to connect to your environment, how to connect to each other, if you're interested in how to create the most delicious living foods, nutrient-dense foods that don't have to be cold, that don't have to be wild and radical and raw, approachable raw living foods, then, you know, I encourage you to come along and have a good time with us and share in the fun. So if this training sounds exciting to you, if this is something that you'd like to be a part of, if you feel that this would be something you would like to share with the world, why don't you go to the seedsoflife.net website and see all of our details, and you can fire me an email from there and I'll get back to you with all the details to sign you up.